Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name's Teresa and I'm the car boot crafter, and today we're making tiny little origami fans. So this was my first attempt, which wasn't brilliant, and learned a couple of things making this one, but this one I'm much happier with. Even the tassel sits much better, so I'll be showing you how I've made that and the lessons I learned when making it. So let's pop that to one side. What you'll need is either some nice fine wool like this to make your tassel, or if you've already got a tassel that's about the right size, then just use that. You'll also need some 6x6 papers, not card. Card just buckles too much. And this is paper I picked up from the tip shop for £1 for a full pack, and I've already used a few bits out of this. So the thinner the better with your paper, your 6x6 papers. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to fold it in half. It doesn't matter, but making sure that the pattern is on the inside. So fold that in half. Then you're going to fold down just the one side. You're going to fold it down about 1/3 of the way, like that. Reinforce that score line as much as you can. Then flip it over and bring this one down about the same, well, as close to the same as possible. So line it up and then reinforce that score line. We could use scoreboards, but this is just easy. It's like an origami fold rather than a scoreboard fold. Open it up, and this time with the pattern side, well, yeah, the plain side up, fold it in half again, but this is the opposite way to the way that we've just done. So I folded it in half. So we've got our first fold there, and with those two, so that's our first fold. We've opened it up, and then we're folding it the other way in half. And once you've done that, fold it in half again. So I'm bringing up the creased end, lining it up, and folding it in half, reinforcing those score lines again every time. And we're going to fold it in half again. So again, bring it up and fold it. Now I prefer to do it in my hands just because I can see and control it a bit better, but do whichever way works for you, whichever way you're the most comfortable. So that's there. Get all the way down like that. There we go. And reinforce that score line too. Okay, and we have to fold it in half again. So this is the 4th time. So if I open it up and I can show you. So we had our 6x6 papers. We folded it once in half, twice in half, and now 3 times in half. Don't worry if you start to see a little bit of the white showing through. It's just the way the papers have to move to accommodate round the folds. Now we have to fold it in half again. So the easiest way to do that is to take, so there's my V. I'm going to take 1/2 of my paper and I'm going to fold that up like that. So again, I find it much easier to do it in my hands rather than on the bench, but you know, whichever works for you. So we folded that piece in half. We're reinforcing that, and then the other side. So as you can see, we've got that V for the first half. We're going to fold this one as well in half. So again, I'm doing it in my hands. You do it on the bench or the table, whatever works for you. Fold it in half. all the way along. Being really careful. And again, I'm going to really reinforce those score lines like that. I'm going to take it over and do that side as well. So next thing we're going to do is open it all out. So that's what I've ended up with, like a W shape or an M at the end. Okay, so that's our 4th fold. So now we're going to open it up like that and smooth it out a little bit. And then do you remember those lines that, so we'd folded it in half that way first, didn't we? And then we brought these pieces back. So we're going to bring these pieces back again, and on the same on this side. So we're going to bring that up, and I'm just going to reinforce that fold because it's going to be under some tension in a minute. And I'm not strictly origami, you don't have to, but I found using a little line of glue, doesn't have to be lots, just a thin bead of glue on the end, and fold it back over. And I like to use my bone folder to push that glue into the paper. You don't need this if you don't want to. It is an origami fold, so it will hold without the glue. I just find it easier for the next stage. So I've pushed that into the paper. I'm going to do the same on this side. So I've just turned it round and doing the same on this side. And I'm not going right up to the edge, as you can see. I'm just running it sort of towards the edge. Bring those up, and again, use your bone folder and push that glue into your papers like that. And I find it easier to start with this side face down like that, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start folding along those, you know, all those crease lines we've got here. I'm going to start folding, but I'm going to concertina them. So some of these folds will be going the way that they don't want to go. They'll be going the opposite to the way that they want to go. So for example, that one wants to be a valley, but I need it. Let me just double check. Yes, I need it to be a mountain or a valley from this side. So I'm going to just fold that over and keep going concertina, using those those score lines where we're folding in half and half again, using those as a guide to help me. So there's another crease line, so I'm going to fold on that and keep going all the way down. It does want to fight you because you've got 2 layers here, 2 layers here, and only 1 layer in there. So it doesn't want to do it. It wants to go the opposite way. It will fight you. And sometimes when these creases are the wrong way, or creasing, wanting to go the opposite way to the way you want them to fold, because we're zigzagging it, we're concertinaing it now, they will fight as well. But with a little bit of patience, you can get a nice concertina going on here. So another one, nearly there, last one. That's it. What I found was it looks better when you start with well, if you're doing it from this side, you start with a mountain, or if you're doing it from the back, you start with the valley fold. You know what I mean. You've been crafting long enough to know what I mean. So again, I'm going to use my bone folder to reinforce all of those folds, and then I'm going to pop it to one side because I'm going to make my tassel next. So let's get some wool off. Oops, sorry. Didn't mean to make you seasick. So I've got some wool, and the way I make it is, and you can wrap it round a wooden block or, you know, a piece of card. I'm doing it round my fingers. So hold it there on my little finger and then just wrap, and keep wrapping around your fingers or your card or whatever you're using as your tassel size. Keep wrapping round until you've got your tassel to the thickness that you want it to be. A little bit more, I think, for this one. There we go. Last one. Yeah, last one. And then I'm going to cut it off. And always do it so this is always going to be the bottom of my tassel. This is going to be the top. So I've put I started at the bottom and I finished the piece I've cut at this end as well, so that we haven't got any straggler bits. Then you're going to need a piece of the wool. So I'm just going to slip it between there, pull it up so that it'll hold my wool in place. I'm just going to put a little box knot in there. So a bit fiddly. Put it down if that works for you, or if you're doing it on card or something, it's easier than trying to do it like this. It's just, this is the way I learnt to do it, and I've always done it this way. So that's my first boxed first box knot, and there's my second, which should hold it nice and tight together. There we go, and I can release that. Okay, so there's my tassel starting. So next thing I need to do is take my scissors and put it in between, so where my fingers were, you should be able to see the gap. But you've put that in, pull it tight from the other end from where you've put your knot, and just cut it through, and that'll give you the start of your tassel. Bring that down. You'll need another piece of wool. Let's grab a bit. There we go. And this time, lay it down on your table or your scoreboard or whatever you're using. Lay that on top with the knotted bit to the top, and then you're going to just tie this to create that bit at the top of the tassel. So where's those two bits gone? There we go. Bring those over and just tie another box knot in them. I'm making a hash of this now because I'm on camera. Normally I can do it so easy. Let's take that off and start again. Lay that down. Maybe it's because I was trying to do it that way instead of across like this. Lay that down. Bring these two pieces up and do yourself a box knot. So first one, and before you pull it too tight, you can manipulate it a bit if it's not quite where you want it to be. Pull these bits down nice and tight, and then tighten that up, and then give yourself another knot so it won't come undone. There we go, like that. Now I don't know why, it must be the way maybe it's the way I tie it, maybe it's different, but I always get one that will hang down beautifully and one that wants to stick up, and no matter what I do it won't lie flat. So I will So I am going to just chop that one off very carefully. There we go. So that's my tassel done. What I'm going to do now with this end is I'm just going to tie a simple knot in it like that, but I don't want to be too far up that end because I don't want this to hang too far from the fan, because we're going to use this to hang it onto our fan. So I've tied a little knot there, and I'm going to cut just above the knot and get rid of that, tidy it up a little bit. I'm going to bring my paper back in, and what I'm going to do is pinch that and then just loop it over and hang it over the fan. So I'm making a right pig's ear of this. Let's just fold it like that. There we go. There's our fan. Okay, there's our fan. I'm going to bring that through and then push all of my tassel through that loop, like that, so that it hangs, below the fan. There we go, that's better. So it hangs below the fan like that. There we go. What I did was I didn't do it that way with this one. Look, I did it just like that, so that it then looks a bit odd hanging underneath because that loop is too big. Whereas I did it this way with this one, and it just hangs so much nicer underneath the fan. So I've done that. And then you need some glue, because we're going to glue these two ends together, which is why it was really important to make sure that you folded back on your first fold. If you folded front ways, you ended up with that, which doesn't look very nice. I just thought that looked a bit ugly. Whereas if you fold your papers back when you're concertining it, so this piece folds back, you get a much nicer join in the middle there. So getting my glue, I'm just going to put a bob of glue. Let's pull that a little bit tighter. So I'm going to put a bob of glue on the wool just to hold it there, because what I want to do is to keep it to the front of the fan. A bob of glue there, and then glue all the way up one side like that. Push it together, and I've got these little sewing clips which are just nice to clip in there like that, and just to hold it all together. Or you can do it the whole thing like that if you prefer, and it'll just hold it all together like that. Oh, let's do it down this way instead. There you go, hold it together like that. Now we've got to finish our tassel. As you can see, it's all different lengths, looks a bit untidy, so I'm just going to hold it together like that, and again using my scissors, just come in and trim them all to one length like that. Let's get rid of that. That tassel looks much better with them all one length, and then that glue should hold. There we go, there's our second little fan, which I think is much better than this one, having learnt some of these lessons with the fans. So yeah, great fun. I'm going to make some more, I think, because I think these are going to make some great embellishments for some of my my other projects. And yeah, I've got plenty of paper to be getting on with, so yeah, might even do some for Happy Mail and the like. Anyway, I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye for now.